Destiny 2's new expansion, Lightfall, breaks its own records. We have a brand new look at the highly anticipated Final Fantasy 16, and the Wii U/3DS's shops are closing soon. What does this mean for game preservation? All this and more on this week's episode of Checkpoint.
And we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Checkpoint, brought to you by Strictly Casual, your number one show, bringing you the important news and breaking down the biggest stories in the games industry. I'm one of your hosts, Vincent DeSantis, joined today, as always, by James Walmer. James, how you doing?
Doing great today.
Good. Fantastic. Audio listeners,
Wonderful day.
thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening on your audio platforms. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/strictlycasual. Please hit us with a rating on audio platforms and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. We are still doing Last of Us streams. We did not do one last week, but we will continue doing those for the last two episodes of the show, as well as Ryder's dropping a Creed review. He was able to see it early, so he's dropping that today. And that's it. That's all I can think about going on the channel. Let's get into the big news. Yeah.
Real quick. Crazy thing is there's an ad block on the corner of Broadway and Lafayette.
Okay.
In New York, and it's Calvin Klein. It's Calvin Klein advertisement, huge, and they put up one of Michael B. Jordan wearing Calvin Klein boxers.
Yeah,
hot as hell.
Sure,
dude's looking great
as he is.
And I'm like, oh, maybe it's because of Creed 3 dropping. Maybe they were doing the little cross posting, trying to get some extra traction for Creed 3.
Michael B. Jordan X Creed X Calvin Klein. Yeah,
exactly. So if you're in New York and you're on Broadway and Lafayette.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with the story like it wasn't for Creed. It was for something else and like something surprising.
Oh, I have no idea what it was for. I just know it's a Calvin Klein ad, but I'm thinking maybe they're doing some cross-marketing there.
Probably. Definitely. He's everywhere because he's like directing this and starring in this. It's pretty crazy.
Oh, shit. I didn't know he was directing.
Yeah, for his first directing gig ever. So.
Whoa, directorial debut.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Michael B. Jordan.
We shall see. I'm excited to see that this weekend. I saw Cocaine Bear last night. It was something.
Dude, I saw Cocaine Bear.
Yeah?
Last weekend. I thought I'd give it like a 6. I think it's a pretty good time.
I had a lot of good laughs.
I did have a lot of good laughs.
Let me jump right in to our first story of the day, and that is Destiny 2 reaches an all-time Steam player record after Lightfall launches, which is awesome to see. This is from Games Radar. The Destiny 2 Lightfall expansion launched just a few hours ago. This is yesterday. Or 2 days ago now. And even with the early server troubles, the game quickly reached over 300,000 concurrent players. The first time the game has crossed that threshold in 3.5 years it's been on the Valve platform. As of writing, there are 316,000 players in game on Steam, as SteamDB shows. Destiny 2 migrated from Battle.net launcher over to Steam while the game went free to play back in 2019, for the record being 292,000. So not a huge jump, but 30,000 people jump. But with the new expansions, pretty cool. Pretty awesome. Destiny 2 tends to have bigger peaks and valleys than many other live games, with tons of players dropping in to see new expansion, then dropping off quickly as the game settles into its regular rotation of seasonal content. We'll see enough how the live patterns shake out post Lightfall.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about what that might look like for Lightfall, and because Lightfall is doing a lot of quality life improvements in addition to doing overall like story and gameplay mechanics. Like it's taking out a lot of grindy things. Yeah. And that's like the big thing, is just you don't have to do as much to get the same amount.
Yeah, they're cutting currencies out, combining how those work, so playing one thing might progress you in a lot of areas instead of just playing something and only progressing in one area, which is huge because there's a couple things that I don't really enjoy doing in Destiny repeatedly, and other things that I love doing repeatedly in Destiny, so this is great. It's interesting. So the first 2 days of Lightfall, the consensus seems to be that the new location is fantastic. Everybody loves the Neon City with the verticality and stuff like that. But the story does not hold up to the Witch Queen, because the Witch Queen was like praised as like Destiny's best story, best mechanics, like the most solid 10 missions they've ever released, that sort of thing. And this one apparently is not hitting that bar. I'm only 3 missions in, so I can't really speak on how I feel about that yet. But that's kind of a bummer for me, especially with how awesome the new location is. The new subclass Strand, people are loving it with the campaign and stuff, but they felt like the campaign is like an introduction to the subclass and less of like Destiny as a whole story, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and people are worried that that's just going to develop over the seasons instead of being the meat in the expansion,
Yeah.
which is totally fair. But it seems like people are having a good time with it. I'm having a great time with it. I cannot wait to play more. Uh, the new characters are fun that they've introduced, and yeah, I'm loving it. Loving it.
Cool. Tell me about community morale. How are people feeling about it?
Yeah, I think, well, this is what I was reading about on Twitter and stuff all day yesterday and today is there's the people that grind the story out in like a day, right? They're playing back to back
Right.
like 12 hours just trying to knock it out. Um, and those people all say that the campaign felt rushed to them story wise. And I'm like, maybe it's because you played them all back to back in like 12
Mm,
hours. I don't really know. Like, it's too early for anybody to have final thoughts on it because it's only been out for like 2 days. But overall, I think a lot of people that are jumping in for the first time, it seems like they're off on a good start. I was watching some big
okay.
streamers play that I've never played. And of course, they have to hop into that like new light mission, that's like, here's your ghost, here's your first gun, that sort of thing. And then after that, they can kind of go right to the expansion. Like they don't have to
Oh,
like
wow.
you can just start playing it because they have a nice little guide of like what you should do to get there right away instead of like
Yeah.
guessing on how to try to
Hmm.
do it. And I think getting rid of that element of guessing is really good for the new player or the returning player. I think that's huge.
Yeah. When I hopped in I don't know, a few months ago, maybe
Yeah.
6 months, 8 months ago. I remember there was a brief time I was telling you about it. Anyway, I jumped in and started a new character because I was
Mhm.
like, all right, like I think a hunter would be better for solo play. So I think I'm just gonna do that for now while I don't have like people to run stuff with consistently. So I did. And it's just like they blast you with so much shit
Yeah.
right out the gate. They blast you with so much shit. There's like 20,000 little things that pop up on your screen, like so
Everybody's
many
joking about
quests, like,
that. Yeah.
and
It's
I'm
funny.
like, what the fuck is this? Like, I have
Yeah.
no idea where to go.
Mhm.
Um, and so like it sounds like they're really mitigating like all of that to give you
Yeah.
maybe like one direction to go to, like say,
I,
okay, like this is your boom, boom, boom. You're gonna do this, and then
I-
you're gonna
I'm
do
not
that.
ready to say that they've completely 100% fixed it in that sense. I
Mm,
think it's much better than it was. I have not gone through the entire process as like, starting a new character and trying it, so I don't really know. And I'm skewed because I know where all the destinations are, so it's like easier for me
right.
to know. I would be curious. I mean, from what I saw, like I was watching Tim the Tatman play because I enjoy his streams every once in a while, and I was like, oh, he's jumping into Lightfall. He's never played Destiny before. Like, let's see how that experience is for him. Is he just gonna get frustrated and go back to Warzone right away or whatever? But I didn't. After a little while, he had it successful. He was playing with friends and stuff that might have been helping him out a little bit, which is, I mean, Destiny's always more fun with friends, so that's like a big
Right.
big piece of that too. But
Hmm.
um, I don't know. I'd be curious to hear more thoughts down the line about how it's helping, but I think it's too early to tell. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but so far, tons of fun. I am very excited to play more of this. The new like weapon subclass, or the weapon subclass, is also Strand, so there's new weapons for it, and the armor sets are really
Oh,
cool this season. So
cool.
I can't wait to unlock those. It's gonna be awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah. Moving on. James, you want to intro this one? I will start the clip in. Ready?
Are we just starting with these taglines,
You
or are
just
we
start with
starting with
this.
the new Final Fantasy 16?
That. Yeah.
Got you.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, go for it.
We have new Final Fantasy 16 info and some early impressions. This comes from I don't know, Twitter roundup. We got a bunch of
Yeah.
people. This specific tweet comes from at Rhino the Bouncer saying we have new Final Fantasy 16 info, stories like 35 hours. It's a dark RPG with great action, semi-open world, unique characters with their own stories, 11 plus hours of cinematics, no loading, 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second mode. I assume that's graphics and performance.
Yep.
There's a demo plan around 2 weeks before the launch, and there's supposed to be seamless game to cinematic transition.
This
Um,
is big. We had a bunch
Huge.
of gaming journalists fly out to Japan to get their hands on with the game, and they were able to tell about almost everything that they played. They were able to play a couple hours worth of the game that was focused mainly on combat. And they said the story was like parsed a little thin because they really wanted to put them in a bunch of different scenarios where they'd be using all their abilities and stuff. But
Mhm.
everybody has really positive things to
Everybody
say about
loves
this.
it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
as a great jumping on point for new Final Fantasy players. It's a story you don't have to be familiar with anything else to do. The combat is comparative to a lot of other games. They're really focusing on the story, and just I'm very excited for Final Fantasy 16, dude. Everything I'm seeing about it is like so exciting.
Yeah, I've heard comparisons like this one has Jeff Grubb comparing the combat to Devil May Cry meets God of War. Polygon said the whole game is like Devil May Cry meets like Game of Thrones,
Oh,
which is really crazy,
yeah.
and talking about the game's politics and like how character relations are going to be. It's just shaping up to be a really solid experience for new and returning Final Fantasy players. I've seen some pushback on the 11 plus hours of cinematics, and then I saw Gene Park tweet out like, "Hold your horses, everyone. Red Dead Redemption 2 had like 20 hours of
Yeah,
cinematics,
who cares, dude? I'll
so
be watching
yeah,
these.
calm
Joking.
down." But I
Final.
think like the story at 35 hours is a great like
Yeah,
that's like the perfect sweet
right.
spot of not too long. I love the fact that it's a semi-open world where you have. I
Yeah,
think that kind of I I think of God of War when I hear that
yeah.
because you are going through linear sections, but then you also have moments when you can go out and explore. But for the most part, it's taking you along.
I think that a semi-open world is much not easier to do than an open world, but more focused in than an open world. Whereas an open world, they have to tell you to go
I
to the
think it is
places.
easier to do.
Yeah, but the
I think
semi-open
it is
worlds, like
like
you
it's
want to
easier to
explore.
succeed. I think.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I think open world has like it's so much harder to actually succeed in
Yeah.
because it just has such a big scope and it's really hard to do. So when developers do it right, it's really great. But I think it's a different type of game experience
Yeah.
entirely than a story-driven game like a Final Fantasy 16 or a God of War, or any of these other games with like semi-open
Yeah.
worlds.
It's
They
something I
lose
enjoy.
focus.
Right.
Yeah.
One other thing that was hugely noted within all the stuff that we've seen so far is kaiju battles, in which you play as Clive, which is still such a funny name to me to have your Final
Fun
Fantasy
name.
16
Hmm.
character. But he can turn into one of the gods, which is an econ. I think that's what they call him.
Icon.
Icon. And so it's icon versus icon, and you become it, and it just looks insane, the scale of it. They released like maybe 30 seconds of what that gameplay looks like, and it looks nuts. I am very excited to do that as well.
I'm very, very excited for the kaiju
I
battles.
mean, in the gameplay, we're seeing like full size scale like wars here. It just looks really good. Everything I've seen
There's a
about it.
lot of scale to this game in terms of
Yes.
like what you're actually doing within the narrative sense and like
Right.
the bigger things. It just feels very big and not in a way that I think we've seen in a really long time. I think where you've
Yes.
seen scale in terms of like we're gonna make a game world that's like that big and you could
Right.
go here and do there, but like we haven't seen scale in focused
No.
encounters where like whole like big scale engagements where you're a small part of a very big thing going on.
Right. It's so exciting. This is also new news is that, well, we already knew it was going to be a PlayStation exclusive, but it sounds like it will be exclusive to PlayStation for 6 months, and then it will come to PC and Xbox. And then there was more details on how it was built specifically for PlayStation, and then will be ported to
Okay.
PC and Xbox instead of usually made for PC ported to PlayStation, and
Yeah.
Xbox, that sort of thing. So that's exciting if you have a PlayStation 5. I don't believe this is coming to PlayStation 4. I think you have to have a PlayStation 5 to play it. Almost certain.
Mm.
So
I'm glad we're there, to be
I'm
honest.
glad we're
I'm
there
glad
too.
we're finally at the hardware cutoff.
It is, yeah, it's getting there. Um,
Mhm.
that's pretty much all we have on Final Fantasy 16. There's tons of gameplay that you can go check out if you would like to watch it, or if you're kind of like me, I don't really want to see too much. I want to see a little bit to like, get excited, but I don't want to see everything yet. The game will launch sometime in the summer, I believe. Yeah, and if you want to know everything else about Final Fantasy 16, you can say right here at Strictly Casual. If you want to listen to this entire podcast episode, you can go on audio platforms and type in Strictly Casual Checkpoint. This is episode 151. Or you can become a member and watch the entire podcast here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out. Bam.
Fun clip.
3DS.
3DS. 3DS and the Wii U eShop are closing soon. I feel like we've been talking about this for a while. I think the 3DS eShop, wasn't that closing like 6 months ago?
I think they announced it 6 months ago, and now it's happening like next week or in 2 weeks or something.
Wow. Okay. March 27th, 2023. This comes from Screen Rant. Will mark the end of an era when it will no longer be possible to purchase digital games through the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U eShops. Both consoles are over a decade old, and as disheartening as it is to see them go, their virtual shop shutting down is part of the software life cycle. Both are succeeded by Nintendo's versatile Switch. You know the Switch. I'm not going to say it's a hybrid console used as both. Anyway, all I say, it's a great time right now to buy up Nintendo games before the eShop closes. Some online features for Nintendo's aging 3DS and Wii U consoles, however, will remain active even after the eShop finally closes its doors. Players still have access to activate online game services like Pokemon Bank after the 3DS store closes. Software updates for any games that still receive them or players who have waited to download them will still be available. And since the 3DS isn't known for ample storage capacity, any games that players deleted to make room will remain available for re-download even after March 27th.
Yeah.
But right now, this is a bad outlook for game preservation. Most 3DS and Wii U games haven't been ported to new consoles, and although Nintendo has made older games available on the Switch, their efforts to date have mainly been focused on even older consoles like the NES, Super Nintendo, and N64. Players who want to expand their Nintendo 3DS and Wii U libraries have a limited time to do so while they can. Game preservation. This leads to the topic of game preservation as a whole.
Sure.
What's the state of it? It's looking a little fragile right now, especially with an entire shop closing down. People are really concerned about being able to keep their games, and it sounds like they'll be able to keep their games that they've already downloaded, but they won't have access to the games that they would have been able to. So this entire library of the games you could have access to on a digital platform won't be available anymore.
Wait,
causing
they will be available if you buy them.
No, if you buy them.
Oh,
but if
yeah.
you do not buy them, you won't be able to buy them anymore, which means there's now even more scarcity for these games.
Yes.
Making physical titles even more valuable because you can't get the digital alternative.
I believe
collectors, this might be a good thing. For collectors,
sure.
And to be honest, like, let's be real, this has been the case all the way up until the digital era.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Games go out of print.
It's just going... Yeah, games go out of print. They aren't going to keep manufacturing Super Mario World or Mario 64.
I think we're in a better spot right now than we've been for game preservation in a long time. With Nintendo, like even doing the NES, Super Nintendo, N64, like all those things, plus like Xbox saying that you can play some of the older games via backwards compatibility on their consoles, and PlayStation introducing some PS1 things to the catalog. It's not perfect. I think there's better ways that everybody can be doing it. Looking at you, PlayStation, you got to do more. Please.
Yeah.
But like, we are in a place where like I can open my Switch and play Link to the Past. Like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
And there's little things like that are fantastic, but I want to own them. Like, I think these should still be sold. If you have the power to emulate these games on your console, you should have that digital library, but also like even digital games is like you don't even really own the games.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's enough of a... I think from a marketing perspective, if they do that, there's not as much of a draw to subscribe to these services that they want more subscribers.
Right. It sucks that these services rely on emulation or backwards games. Like, I feel like there should be more features.
I mean, I think it's just an opportunity. Like, it's just...
Right.
It's more features. It's an opportunity for, like, if it serves a particular niche. To be honest, like, I don't think majority of gamers want to play those old games.
True.
Yeah. And so I think if you, like, it's a more exclusive niche. And if you want to be a part of that, like, I think the vast majority of those people who care about that will be willing to pay that extra money for the premium tier. I know people who do.
Yeah.
I know a friend of mine who loves playing old PS3, PS2 games, so he pays for PlayStation Premium because he really cares about that.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't like old games as much, and so I'm less likely to, like, that's the thing, is I'm in the position where I'm like, yeah, I want the one or two, but overall I'm not that upset about it, because like if I wanted access to those games, I would just pay for like a month of the service and play those for the month and then be done. Yeah. And that would probably, like, I don't know, maybe be cheaper than if I have like access to a multitude of those classic games within that month, 2 months, rather than paying $12, $20 a piece for like 3 games that I play for like, I don't know, a month accumulatively across the couple titles.
I think that Switch is in a harder position than Xbox and PlayStation, whereas Xbox and PlayStation have had discs since they've begun, and they can just, like, you can just, in theory, be able to put a PlayStation 1 disc that you have into a PlayStation 5 and play it, versus Nintendo, which has switched cartridges and this and that over time that are different. It's not like you can come out with a Switch that has a spot for all those cartridges or something. But I guess more than being able to buy a digital game or play a digital game, I want to see the ability to play the games that you already own on like current gen software. I think obviously that backwards compatibility is something on a lot of people's wish list, but I think it's important for like keeping those games in conversation, because like there are games now that get talked about that are very hard to play. Like some of the best games of all time. Some of them are in this category of like, even if you have it, own it physically, it's hard to play if if that console's like dead or like cannot turn on, or like
Right.
digitally. You can't buy it on Steam. You can't buy it on any of the stores. You're gonna have to like watch a video on it or find an emulator to do it and stuff like that.
Which
And
I think is
that's
on. I like that's on the distributor. Like that's on them like
yeah,
for not making them available via
that's what
like
I'm
digital
looking to improve
platforms.
more than just giving the
Yeah.
digital games away, or not giving them away, but like making them available. I think.
Like you want to see them. You want to see the developers, or sorry, the menu or the distributors put them on digital platforms.
No, I'm saying like I would love PlayStation to come out and say you can put a PS2 disc in your PS5 now and play it. Fantastic. That's what I want. It's a game that I already own that I'm not able to play anywhere else. Like that sort of thing.
See, I think that market is even smaller than people who would want to buy it digitally.
Probably because they don't own the games. You know what I mean? Like
Right?
with
No one owns those games anymore
yeah,
unless they like, I don't know, get them from their old parents' house
right. I mean, but this
or
is like,
whatever.
you know, the Analog Pocket. I think the Analog Pocket. One of
Yeah.
these handhelds that came out is you. It doesn't have games on it. You put your original like cartridges, your Game Boy cartridges and stuff on that to play it. But
Mm-hmm.
it relies on you already having that physical media or buying that physical media third hand, which is tough. I mean, there's no perfect way to do this. I just want more options for everybody. And if that be putting in the discs plus a digital offering, that's great. And I hope that's there. I just hope it's not closed behind these
Are there not
subscriptions when it
third
goes away.
party? Are there not third party consoles that could do that?
I'm sure there are. That's a good like put in a
Because they're like
PS1
old,
disc
like
too. Yeah.
they're old NES emulators that do have like all the different cartridges, and they're
Yeah.
third party. But
Right.
it's different software, it's
Yeah.
different UI, um, that are using like you can plug original controllers into to
Yeah.
do the same thing.
It feels
So
like this like preservation in general is on people's minds more than it has been like in the last 10 years or so.
yeah,
Maybe I'm just more
especially
aware of
with
it.
I think it's with the closing of these shops for sure.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of like because we're seeing that kind of first digital era of games start to close out,
Right.
and have really hard doors be shut against that.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's tough for people to see because it feels like they're losing a part of
Yeah.
their childhood. It feels like they're losing a part of access to something they have a lot of nostalgia for,
Yeah.
which is totally understandable.
It's very, very interesting stuff.
Mhm.
I want to bring up one more topic before we close the show off. And that is
Yeah.
that the Olympics have announced that esports will be a part of the next Olympics. And there are
Holy shit!
three games that will be competed for on a international level now, which is pretty crazy.
Whoa.
And you're not going to believe them. One of them I believe, and the other two I'm like, really? Or the other one I'm like, really? This is one of the ones that we're going to be competing with, like as a country against other countries for this game. And
Hit me.
number one, Gran Turismo. That's awesome. That is
Whoa.
awesome to me.
Cool. Really cool.
It'll be sim racing. That'll be pretty cool. Number two, chess. They're calling chess an esports. They're putting in the esports thing, which is
Okay.
interesting too. And the final one, Just Dance. I shit you not. That is real.
See, this is like I hate this because these are just all adaptations of things that already exist in the world.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to have chess as an esport to have chess in the Olympics.
Oh, there's
You
one
don't
more
have
too.
to
But yeah, keep going.
you don't have to have Just Dance to have dancing be a sport in the Olympics. You don't
Yeah.
have to have Gran Turismo. I mean, like Gran Turismo makes it easier to have racing in the Olympics because cars and because tracks and things like that.
Yeah.
It makes it less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I feel like just racing is a sport.
Yeah, I would agree. Racing is let's add Olympic racing. Like that would be awesome.
That would be fucking
It's the
awesome.
best drivers
I've been watching the F1.
Have you really?
I have. I've been
Okay, we got to talk about that after the episode. I'm so hooked, dude. It's just so good. Can you imagine each country nominating their best driver? to like go race a
It would
certain
be
thing on
so
it.
cool.
Like that'd be
It would be
awesome.
so
They
cool.
race on the home track of wherever the Olympics is, like their
Oh
biggest
my
track.
god.
That would be so awesome. The Olympics are so fun.
I love the Olympics. I never watch them, but I just love the idea.
Yeah. I mean, 2026, dude. LA
Yeah.
Olympics. That's somebody the closest
Oof.
ever. I gotta go. I feel like it's a once in a lifetime to go to an event at the
It is a
Olympics.
once in a lifetime.
Could be awesome. The other game that is available is not popular here in the States, but it is called um Zwift.
Zwift.
And Zwift is a cycling esport. So just like you said,
I'm just pissed. I'm just pissed.
yeah, it's you're
I'm
gonna be
mad.
doing this on a stationary bike. So
This is
that's
already an Olympic sport
yeah,
too, is it
yeah.
not?
It would be. It says this involves an effort to strengthen the roles and responsibilities of international federations in establishing virtual and simulated forms of sports, such as discipline within their regulations and strategies. That's a whole big hullabaloo. The idea is to make the bridge between sports and the gaming space, said the head of IOC's
I
head of
just
virtual sport
don't
and gaming. What
I
is
just
IOC?
don't think this is
I don't know what IOC is.
it. Like I don't think that is doing what they want it to do.
The Olympic Esports Series 2023, creating more spaces to play for gamers, or for both players and fans of elite competition. It's so funny. I think it's cool to have esports in the Olympics. I think that that's awesome. But like these feel like interesting choices. Where as like let's do a game that, like Overwatch, for instance, I think would be a great
That's what I
Olympic
thought. I
esports.
thought like I dead ass if you asked
Yeah,
me to guess, I would have said Overwatch.
this is saying there should be like League of Legends. You should have Smash Bros.
Yep,
If you're doing these
easily.
like things that are not based on real things that you already have in the Olympics. But maybe,
Right.
do you know what this
Maybe
is, James?
Valorant.
This is probably an attempt for people that don't watch them to be like, oh, this is part of the Olympics and this is racing, something that they might like, or this is cycling, something that they might like, to like make them watch it first. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't see how that's more like I don't get how you like I don't understand how you get people who like the real world equivalent versions of these things
Yeah,
to watch the virtual versions because they're just not as exciting.
right. Yeah, you're right. Unless you're following an esport professional or like a pro player, but nobody's jumping on for the
Sure.
first time going to be rooting for a pro player.
Mm-mm.
And I couldn't tell you a single pro player in the GT scene.
No way.
Or the Just Dance scene for that matter. What the hell is that, dude? I don't know.
But like
That's gonna
apparently
be
like there
crazy.
must be some already like there must be something already there
No, there
in
is.
order you know what I mean? In order for them to draw on that, or else they wouldn't have included it.
I've been getting deep into the GT scene. This is a great transition to what we've been playing. Um, unless you have
Well, I have
anything else to
another thing
say.
to bring up before.
Oh,
Yeah,
bring it
I
up. Bring
do.
it up.
This is into review roundups,
Yeah.
but remember that game Wo Long Final or Fallen Dynasty?
Yeah,
The
you played the demo?
Chinese. What?
There's a
The
demo
demo
out.
came out?
Coming out 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh my god. Polygon released a review for it and gave it the Polygon recommends.
That's great. I want to play the demo really bad. I just got to download it and
I
do it.
just saw it. I just did a final sweep of news, and
I saw GameSpot give it an 8
there.
this morning as well.
GameSpot gave it an 8.
Yeah, I think so. The little graphic.
Yeah. Intricate combat system, equally evocative setting. Wolong is a journey worth embarking on, even if it means devoting 3 more hours to your next boss fight. Sounds really interesting.
Cool.
Sounds really, really cool. I'll have to play the demo.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go into what we've been playing. Gran Turismo.
So
That's it.
it was my roommate's birthday this week.
Brandon, happy birthday.
He is a huge Gran Turismo fan. Plays a lot of it. So we all went in and got him the racing wheel setup. The full force feedback wheel with the pedals
God,
and
yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he has been gracious enough to let me start my own GT journey on his PlayStation upstairs. And oh my god, it is so fun.
Does it really do it?
It
Does it really?
really does it for me. Like it feels great.
With
There's
the
like
gear shifter?
we don't have a gear shifter yet. That'll be a good add-on. So right now I'm just playing with the
Mhm.
paddle shifters on the
On the steering wheel?
which is fine for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I already have a lot of assist things on. It starts you off full assist, and then as you do races, you can start turning things off that you feel good at. And I'm like, now I'm feeling
Cool.
like a lot more confident. But it's like, Gran Turismo 7 reviewed very well and it's like a very good game. And I've played some races on controller and I know it's good, but then really putting the wheel on there is like
Game changer.
it
Night
is
and day.
I could sit there for hours. I really
Holy
really
shit.
could. It is
Holy shit.
so
Can you imagine
fun.
playing with VR and the
That's
VR
what
and
I'm thinking. I'm like, maybe we gotta get a PSVR 2 for here, bro. Are you kidding me? You'd be locked in. Yeah, you
You'll
would
be
not be
locked
able to pull me away. You would not.
Wow.
It was so cool. So I've been
That sounds
playing
awesome.
like a lot of afternoons after work. I'll walk upstairs and Pete's got the whole cockpit dealio out. And I'm like, all right, let's see this happen. Let's go.
Is it just with his desk chair going on?
Well, we had it on the couch on the coffee table, but it was a little bit too much like bend over sort of thing. So we took a couch cushion out. Now we sit down a little bit deeper, like you feel like you're really in it. Put the cushion behind you, and then it feels like you have like a seat against you. It's awesome. It's so fun. Yeah, it's cool. I'll send you a photo. It's
That sounds
super
really
fun.
cool. Yeah.
So besides that, we do a couple races a night. Great time. And I've been playing Destiny Lightfall, but we talked about Lightfall for a while. I'll be playing more this weekend. If anybody wants to hop in with me, I will be collecting all the regional chests this weekend to progress my quest steps. Can't wait. Have you been playing anything?
Play a little bit of XCOM.
Nice, dude.
Getting back in the XCOM, and it feels so good. It feels so fucking good. Oh my god. I miss that game.
Midnight Suns went on sale this week too. It's like 30 something bucks.
35. Yeah, I don't know. I want to play it, but I'm gonna wait for a steeper sale. I don't need to buy it right now.
Yeah, sure.
I think it'll just continue to get steeper. When it gets down to like 20, then I think that's my cap. I'll buy it for 20.
Yeah,
and by then I think it might be PS Plus.
Ooh, you think so? Maybe. Battlefield's PS Plus right now.
Shit, I can't wait to re-download that. Yeah. Did they drop today?
I think they drop on the 3rd. But it'll probably be the best time to play because the servers will be absolutely jam-packed and full. So, and with new players, so it won't be as sweaty. Because right now you just have people playing for years that just like the pain of an okay game, but that they're good at. So it's hard.
Yeah.
Super hard. That's all I got for you on this week's episode of Checkpoint, episode 151. It's like we're starting over. We're back at 1. We might as well just call it Checkpoint episode 1 now. Build up to another 150.
Yeah.
3 years to 150. No, 3 more years to 300.
Wow.
Golly. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next week. James, any final words?
Thank you so much. I gotta go poop.
All right. God bless it. Bye-bye, everybody.